at 10 starts now.
Tonight, we continue to follow breaking news out of Hartford after a police officer shot a man in front of several community members earlier today. Now, this is the second deadly police shooting in a little more than a week, both including a person who was holding a knife and in a reported mental health crisis. Thank you so much for joining us after the game. I'm Annette Montgomery. Right now, details are still limited, but the scene has been active for more than 9 hours, and we have team coverage tonight. Fox 61's Tim Lateau has reaction from the Greater Hartford chapter of the NAACP. But we first began with Fox 61's Stephen Reels, who was in Bloomfield, just a short distance from where those shots were fired. Stephen.
Yeah, and now we are standing along the Bloomfield-Hartford line, and actually up through about an hour and a half ago, this entire road of Blue Hills Avenue was impossible to pass through just because of the sheer amount of local police and state police who are investigating what happened. But let's get into the details of everything. Hartford police say they came to the area around 11 this morning, and initially police say that they tried to use a taser on a man with a knife, but it was not successful. Police also tell us the man with the knife was suicidal. Police say the officer was backing away while giving the man several commands to drop the weapon, but he didn't. The officer then fired their weapon and hit the man. Now, we did speak with some neighbors who were familiar with the man who was shot and who say they were there when it happened. They say it was chaotic, and people like Troy McDermott say that the man was harmless and this escalation was unnecessary.
Everybody said don't shoot him, he's not on his meds, all that. The officer shot. Like he walked towards the officer a little bit and the officer shot.
De-escalate, don't shoot.
And you heard it right there. The aftermath became extremely tense out here. Several people were heard shouting at police during our time at the scene. Now, the last we heard, the man who was shot this morning, he was in critical condition and in surgery this afternoon. Of course, we'll keep you updated as everything develops. But for now, live in Hartford, Stephen Reels, Fox 61.
Thank you so much, Stephen. And this shooting has left the community upset and devastated, including the Greater Hartford branch of the NAACP. The organization says it is deeply disturbed by what happened today. Fox 61's Tim Lateau spoke with leaders who are now calling for a transparent investigation.
NAACP leaders say no matter what the investigation finds, police officers need to do a better job de-escalating mental health calls.
If a man gets shot 9 times because he's dealing with a mental health issue.
Greater Hartford NAACP leaders are angered after a second black man was shot by police in the span of 8 days in their city. They say both incidents involved a victim with mental health issues. Branch President Corey Betts acknowledged in Friday's shooting that the man shot was holding a large knife. But after watching cell phone video of the incident, he believes officers could have done more before they resorted to lethal force. Betts says multiple officers were on scene before the officer who fired his gun showed up. He feels that officer wasn't properly prepared to intervene at that moment. Betts wants the investigation to reveal communication between officers, the timeline of events, and the crisis intervention tactics used. He asks investigators to determine whether every reasonable option was tried before the officer pulled the trigger.
Video we have reviewed shows the shooting officer arriving and within 30 seconds discharging his firearm 9 times. When multiple officers are working to calm a mental health crisis, the expectation is that every arriving officer reinforces that effort, not escalate it. Loss of life should be the absolute last resort, not the option.
NAACP leaders plan on addressing the public again once more information and body cam footage has been released. In Bloomfield, Tim Lateau, Fox 61.
And we will continue to follow this breaking news, and we'll bring you the latest on air and online at fox61.com. You can also watch full coverage on Fox 61 Plus, our free streaming app.